So, good day. We're going to talk about sustainability. So, for the first one, we're going to talk about being a sustainable practitioner by taking into consideration cultural and environmental impacts. So, being a sustainable, so it's able to maintain at a certain rate or level, meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. So this concept of needs goes beyond simply material needs and harmony. So it came from the root word sustain. So you're sustaining something or a practice. So there are challenges of sustainability. So for the first one, so it requires addressing many fundamental issues. What does it mean? So there are fundamental issues at local, regional, and global events. And achieving the goals and objectives of sustainability presents a great challenge for all segments of society. So there are consequences due to external factors. So a core principle of sustainability is to improve a certain practice and to sustain these improvements over time. But the consequence of external factors making this objective more challenging. So it can be a degradation and extreme alterations and changes to natural flow that can be found everywhere that are part of the challenges of sustainability. So you need to sustain something that does not change a certain thing all throughout it. So for the next one, we're going to talk about being a sustainable practitioner due to cultural impacts. So here we are ensuring a certain practice that does not imply decontextualization of cultural identities, activities, and assets, and that relevant benefits are reinvested in cultural activities. Meaning, we are not revising the context of a certain culture, of a certain area or region or country. For the next one is being a sustainable practitioner due to environmental impacts. So here we are enhancing the environment and its biodiversity to ensure a healthy and productive world without breaking the natural environmental beauty. So here we are enhancing environment and its biodiversity, but due to development there are many conflicts where areas during the development or applying a certain practice there is a certain law for environmental protection and conservation as the prime issue so that we can protect the environment. So here is the summary. So sustaining a certain practice requires addressing many fundamental issues at local, regional, and global levels. And achieving the goals and objectives of sustainability presents at great challenge for all segments of society. So for the next one, we're going to talk about implementation decisions of a organizational policies, economic viability, and resource consumption. So here are the steps in implementation and decision. So for the first one, you should know your the task or the objective that you want to gain. So for the second one, you need to write the description. So this needs to be sufficient for the person doing the work to be able to understand the work that needs to be done and what resources may be needed. So you need to list down what are the things you need to accomplish this certain plan. So here, as you have now your objective, you have now the description for this certain task. So now you need to talk to your teammates. For example, you are the project manager. So now here From time to time, you should know the status for a certain team member that you give a certain task. The next one is you should know the priority. So here there's A's, so do first, what will be to do soon, and not time critical. So you should know the priority that is being listed in the description of task. So the next one, you should know the source of task. So this can be used to help determine priority. Also, if the situation changes, the task may no longer be needed. So that's why you should know the priority listed of the needs to accomplish a certain task. Okay, for the sixth one, so desired completion date. So you should need to set a target that enables success for the chosen solution. So you should know what will be the outcome. So you have the idea, you have your hypothesis, what will be the outcome. So you have the vision about it. Then for the seventh one, so actual completion date. So capture the date when the task was completed. So you should know when the task will be ended or accomplished. Then the next one, of course, after you accomplish all of it, the plan, so you should review it first before implementing, so that when you review, if you are going to implement it, there will be no longer problems. Okay, so here, so when we are implementing a certain decision, so of course there are consequences. So there is always consequence in every decision we made. It can lead to solution or lead to failure or just worsen a certain issue or problem. Don't be hasty in your decision. Think before you make an action or make a plan first, especially if there are a lot of people involved. So be responsible in every action you made. So if you are for example, you are in a company, you are the leader or the project manager, you shouldn't make a decision just only for yourself. So you should need to engage to your teammates, so it will have a better result or solution or alternatives for it. Okay, for the next one, we're going to talk about explore global, social, and environmental impacts of computer use and disposal. So we're going to talk about the electronic waste. Okay, so we're going to talk about what is happening in reality. So electronics have always produced waste, but the quantity and speed of discard has increased rapidly in recent years. So there was a time when households would keep televisions more than a decade, but thanks to changes in technology and consumer demand, so there is hardly any device now that persists more than a couple of years in the hands of the original owner. So because of the rapid development of technology nowadays, so we change technology for a short period of time. So because of the advancement of technology, so we are buying a new model for our phones, such as buying a new monitor, a bigger one. So we have the transition for the monitor, like from LCD up to LED now. Okay, so this electronic waste has a great impact to human health and to the environment or the biodiversity. So here are some of effects of electronic waste. So on environment, so it makes pollution of groundwater, so acidification of soil, air pollution, E-waste accounts for 40% of the lead and 75% of the heavy metals found in landfills. So it is really dangerous when we are disposing a certain electronics because of the chemicals or materials that been used on a certain electronics. So for the human health, so this is now the problem. So we are now experiencing a DNA damage, a lung cancer, damage to heart, liver, and spleen. So can cause chronic damage to brain, asthmatic bronchitis. So it is where we are when we are disposing certain electronics. So it depends on the material of electronics that can harm to us as a human. So here is the example. Last 2016, this is the report for the highest electronic waste. So the number one is the China. So it is 7.2 million metric tons. So the second one is United States, 6.3 million metric tons. So the third one is Japan, which disposes 2.1 million metric tons. And the fourth one is India, consists of 2 million metric tons. So and so on and so forth. So here we can see that we all know that the products that we are now using is that being assembled in China. So that's why there's a lot of generated electronics here in China. Okay, here we have here the a chart. So according to the experts, so this might be happen. So from over the years, so there would be an increase of electronic waste. So that's what I've been tackled for because of the demand and the rapid development of technology. That's why. Okay, so here are the things, some of the things that we can reduce electronic waste. So the first one is reevaluate. So do you really need the extra gadget? Finding one gadget with multiple functions. For example, you have now this a certain smartphone. So you should think first if you need to buy a new one, if it is capable or it can go along with the trends of the applications, can still run applications. So you don't need to buy phone. So you don't need to change phone just for a month or for a year. So you don't need to change electronics from time to time, so that we could reduce the electronic waste. So the second one is extend the life of your electronics. So of course you should maintain the electronics or a device technology you have now. The third one is environmental friendly electronics. So look for the products labeled Energy Star or certified by the Electronic Product Environmental Assessment Tool. So we're here. You should look for the label for Energy Star. So there's a sticker for it behind a certain device. For example, for LED monitors, so that it will not consume more power and not emit more carbon, because now we all know that there are a lot of sources that we can get just to generate electricity. So some of it we can find it in the refrigerators. Okay, for the last one, for the fun fact, so it is not just the discarded electronics that could damage our ecosystem. So, but also due to our excessive use of technology. So, for example, you are on Facebook. So, you are in Facebook for 24 hours. So, it consumes also. So, it emits also carbon. So, because of depending of the usage of the people, so it is equals to the amount of servers that will be used. So depending of the people who is engaging in a certain applications. So I think you heard it about the EcoSha, that if you delete a your unread emails, it can help to break the earth. So yeah, that's true, because our files, it is being stored in a server. So if we delete unwanted emails or unnecessary files in the cloud, so it might lessen up the consume of servers. So when we lessen up the consume of servers, of course, some of the servers will not emit more energy or emit more carbon. So that's all. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Beverly H. Benachita from Group 4 of PSITTB, and we'll be discussing the sustainability with the following topics. Topics are environmental impacts of design choices in specific areas such as algorithms, operating system, networks, databases, or human-computer interactions. Guidelines for sustainable design standards, systemic effects of complex computer-mediated phenomena. So before we start, let's have a brief explanations of sustainability. Sustainability is characterized by the United Nations as development that meets the needs of present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. For the first topic, which is environmental impacts of design choices in specific areas such as algorithms, operating system, networks, database, or human-computer actions, so environmental impact assessment can be defined as the systematic examinations of unintended consequence of a development project or program, with the view of reduce or mitigate negative impacts and maximize on positive ones. So, in algorithm design, an algorithm is a sequence of steps to solve a problem. Design and analysis of algorithm is very important for designing algorithm to solve different types of problem in the branch of computer science and information technology. So, data structure is a particular way of storing and organizing data so that it can be used efficiently. Arrays, trees, linked lists, stacks, graphs, etc. are all data structures, and each of them allows us to perform different operations of data. In the operating system design, so an operating system is a construct that allows the user application programs to interact with the system hardware. Operating system by itself does not provide any functions, but it provides an atmosphere in which different application and programs can do useful work. So, operating system enable to manage the memory management, processor management, device management, file management, security, job accounting, control over system performance, interactions with the operators, error detecting aids, coordinations between other software and users. So, operating system objective is to make the computer system convenient to use in an efficient manner, to hide the details of the hardware resources from the users, to provide users a convenient interface to use in computer system, to act as an intermediary between a hardware and its users, making it easier for the users to access and use other resources, to manage the resources of a computer system, to keep track of who is using which resource, granting resource requests and mediating conflicting requests from different programs and users, to provide efficient and fair sharings of resources among users and programs. Some operating system we might using nowadays are Windows, Linux, Apple, and Android. For today's generations, operating system play a big role of our daily lives, especially to students and employees. This makes our lives more flexible, convenient, and accessible in terms of learning, ordering, communicating that we everyday use. For network design, a computer network, also referred to as data network, is a series of interconnected nodes that can transmit, receive, and exchange data, voice, and video traffic. Example of nodes in network include servers or modems. Computer networks commonly help endpoint users share resources and communicate. And this type of network design we have is local area network, wide area network, wireless local area network, or metropolitan area network. Our second topic, which is guidelines for sustainable design standard, seeks to reduce negative impacts on the environment and the health and comfort of building occupants, thereby improving building performance. The basic objective of sustainability are to reduce consumptions of non-renewable resources, minimize waste, and create healthy productive environments. Sustainable design principles include the ability to optimize site potential, minimize non-renewable energy consumptions, use environmentally preferable products, protect and conserve water, enhance indoor environmental quality, and optimize operational and maintenance practices. For our last topic, which is systemic effects of complex computer-mediated phenomena, computer-mediated phenomena reduces the effects of communications to its lowest level. Is a type as an extension of face-to-face as social creatures humans have rapidly developed their ability to socialize on the internet. Computer-mediated communications, wherein people use computers and networks to communicate with one another, makes communications across great distances and different time zones convenient, eliminating the time and geographic constraints of in-person communications. So allow times and place independence while at the same time enhancing interactions among groups and individuals. So examples of usage of computer-mediated communications are email, messaging, calling, and video calling. Computer-mediated communication is defined as any human communication that occurs through the use of two or more electronic devices, while the term has traditionally referred to those communications that occur via computer-mediated formats, instant messaging, email, chat rooms, online forums, social network services. So it has also been applied to other forms of text-based interactions, such as text messaging. So on the social effects of different computer-supported communications technology, recent study involved internet-based social networking supported by social software. Computer-mediated communications can be broken down into two forms, synchronous and asynchronous. So these famous software platforms that we're usually using nowadays to communicate is Skype, Facebook, Messenger, and for students to have a flexible learning is Google Classroom.
So, good afternoon everyone, good afternoon classmate, good afternoon ma'am. So, my report for today is pervasive computing. And I'm Brian Kenji Rabis. So, pervasive computing, also known as the ubiquitous computing, refers to the growing trend of embedding computational capability into the everyday objects in order to make them effectively communicate and perform use tasks while reducing the end user's need to interact with computers as computers. Pervasive computing devices are always online and linked to the internet. Next. So, generally, ubiquitous computing spread like warm baseline. The new history. Ubiquitous computing was first pioneered at the Olivet Research Laboratory in Cambridge, England, where the active badge, a clip-on computer the size of employee ID card, was created and enabling the company to track the location of people in building as well as the object to which they are attacked. Ubiquitous computing or UbiComp. Ubiquitous computing UbiComp is a post-desktop model of human-to-computer interaction in which information process has been truly integrated into the everyday objectives and activities in the course of ordinary activities. Some using ubiquitous computing engage many computational devices and systems simultaneously and may not necessarily even be aware that they are doing so. This model is usually considered an advancement from desktop paradigm. More formally, ubiquitous computing is defined as machines that fit the human environment instead of forcing humans to enter theirs. The paradigm is also described as pervasive computing ambient intelligence, where each term of emphasize slightly different aspect when primarily concerning the object involved. It also physical computing, the Internet of Things, haptic computing, and things that think. Yan. So, and how pervasive computing areas such in domains including smart energy system, social networking, transformation, agriculture, supply chain system, environmental sorry po. So, balik. Smart energy system will be primarily pervasive computing application area, dynamically mitigating energy use by measuring, inferring, manipulating, and leveraging human behavior and context across various domains and environments. Yan, computing environmental issues. Yan. So, environmental issues are those where the manufacturing and use of computer had a negative impact into the environment. Resources are needed in order for computer to be produced, distributed, and use metals and plastic are used to manufacture components, while energy is expanded and distributing equipment and using it. So many computers such as web browser, domain name servers, and data centers need to be left running continuously. This requires a lot of energy to maintain. Additionally, business, organizations, schools, and homes all now have greater access to technology. Many computers components are either hard to recycle or contain toxic materials such as also lead user discard ICT equipment quite quickly. Tulad na people have a new smartphones every couple of years. Many organizations replace computer after 3 or 4 years, nag-upgrade sila. Many people replace older technology before it feels simple because they perceive an old-fashioned and out-of-date. So yun nga, kada may bagong labas na hardware yung tungkol sa PC, pwede silang mag-upgrade. And also this means that computer have heavy impact on the environment, which is unlikely to decrease in the near future. However, many devices are now more powerful, efficient than their procedures, and some companies have come up with innovative ways to save power. So yun, imbis na itapon, ni-innovate na lang ng company kasi nga, ayun nga, mag-aaral sila ng ng environmental issue. So ito na yung mga sample ng environmental issue. Tulad na sa electrical strain. At the time of publication, approximately 1.3 billion people worldwide own personal computers. In the US, roughly 164 people own computers. Ang dami. Computers are used for business and personal use, but an enormous strain on electrical grid. The average PC uses is 746 kilowatts of power each year. So ganun sila kalaki kumonsumo ng powers. Requires more power than refrigerator, which only use 500 kilowatts. So bali yung per year yun lahat ng gumagamit, 500 lang yung sa rep. Yung rep hindi mo naman pinapatay yung rep. Depende on the pros. So computers add to the strain on power plants to produce enough energy to power the world, and the production of energy creates pollution and emissions. The amount of electricity needed to power computers contributes to the million of tons of greenhouse gases that emitted into the atmosphere of each year. So yun, alam naman natin na yung mga greenhouses, isa sila sa mga nagko-cause ng global warming. Global warming pala. So, nice. Energy waste. Computer also contribute to energy waste. Energy waste each year. Waste create needless pollution that could be saved each year if businesses and households would shut down their computers and the power of their monitors when they are not using them. US business wastes approximately $1 billion each year in electricity used to power computers and monitors left on after hours. Putting your computers on a standby or letting your computer go into sleep mode also create energy waste. Yun, kahit naka-standby lang daw or yung nakapatay yung computer mo pero still running electricity pa rin. Kung naka-on pa siya kahit naka-sleep lang, yun, sleep. As this mode still requires a power. Even leaving your computer plugged in while it shut down. Yun, kahit daw nakapatay na tas shut down pero naka-plug pa rin. Kumukonsumo pa rin siya ng power. Down will draw a small amount of power of its outlet. This energy waste translates into greenhouse excess gases that contribute pollution in global climate change. Yun, greenhouse pa rin yung may isalo doon. So yan, sa production of computers create pollution. The manufacturing of computers requires a large amount of fossil fuels and chemicals. Despite the fact that computers continue to decrease in size, computers still requires 10 times their weight in chemical and pollutants during manufacturing. The pollution created by the power production is harmful to the health of those living in close proximity to manufacturing facilities, which expel harmful chemicals and pollutants into the air. Landfill waste. Changing technology and computers breakdowns lead to millions of tons of waste in discharged computers each year. So ito na yung sasabi ng isa yung nakaranihan, di ba, na kada yung mga company nag-upgrade sila, yung karamihan dun tinatapon na lang nila. An estimate of 50 million tons of electronic waste are discarded each year. Most of these discarded computers are sent to landfills overseas in Africa, China, India, Vietnam, and the Philippines. Sama pala tayo sa tapunan ng basura. There are entire regions in these countries that are polluted due to computer waste. Computer contains heavy metals like lead and toxic chemicals that pollute the soil and containing groundwater when they are dumped into landfills. Ayun yung ginagawa, yung binabaon sa lupa yung mga basura. Runoff from these landfills can contaminate water used of drinking and bathing, exposing people to dangerous chemicals. So, yun lang po. Thank you.